where in the late 90s, we could just optimize our page and, and our websites. And, even with the classic HTML markup with, H1s and, headings and bulleted lists and tables and so forth, we've come, now back to that actually being, more of a factor now is that, is actually optimizing our pages, making them load really quickly. And, I was having a conversation just the other night with somebody and just said, basically it's this on-page stuff has made, SEO fun again. And actually what has happened is that, it used to be you had to go out and get links and so forth. But now, while links are still important, to kind of prove your trustworthiness, on the web, you can actually now, it's down to the fact where you can make some tweaks on a page, the proper tweaks, if you will, with, maybe adding a keyword or certain related words in a heading or in a table or, in bold or italics, making some changes on the page itself. And then, getting Google to recrawl. And you can actually, within, I'd say, within an hour or so, see results like that, see a change in rankings and traffic just based on those tweaks. And so, Google is really fast now as far as, just, for example, using the Google Fetch and Render tool just to tell them, or ask them to come back and recrawl your page if you're tweaking or just working on one particular page. So we've kind of come, full circle for, we used to be on page and then it went kind of off page was the emphasis. And now, like I said, it's a little bit funner because now we can sit down and optimize our page, write the right content, and actually see, a difference fairly quickly. It doesn't take as long as, it used to, where you have to wait for links to kick in and them to crawl sites and so forth. And now it's a lot faster. As we get more towards more, AI type of thing, they are understanding sentiment and to what people are saying about different, in those reviews, what you're saying on the page, and so forth. So there are a lot, there are, like I said, there's so many different, factors. It's not just the, you've mentioned this keyword 5 times on the page and the other competitor mentions it 6 times. It's not just, and it's not just that exact match keyword. Google and obviously Bing and so forth also understand natural language a little bit more. So they understand the difference between the fact that if you're optimizing a page for for lawyer type of lawyer keywords, and like a Dallas lawyer, for example, you would understand. They understand that attorney and attorneys and law firm and law firms and so forth are related, and so they understand a lot more of the related phrases. So it's much more. It's not. 20 years ago we were looking at just the exact match keyword like, Dallas lawyer, but now we're, you need to have those other related keywords. And so some of the keyword research that we need to do at a time and looking at and understanding keywords, we need to realize what other related keywords we need in our copy to be able to, so that's kind of the difference between, years ago and now that, having our content be a lot more a lot more natural. Let's take a look at a couple tools. Let's look at SEMRush and basically I'm kind of doing this on the fly here, and SEMRush gives us a lot of data and insight into websites, and type of we can see not only just the paid search phrases that and the ads that this particular company or website is doing, but we obviously we can see we can also see the organic. So let's take a look at the organic. The organic phrases that this particular I just randomly look at Travelocity. And it looks to me, some of the observations is that, looks to me that there, this actually shows how many keywords that the website was ranking for, and right, just looking at this in the past, a few months, I can see that this, there was a big drop off, and obviously something went, wrong, and most likely, they dropped a lot of rankings between, July and July, August, and September of 2018. But we actually can see, for example, the actual keywords that any website, that what they're ranking for, and which pages they're ranking for, and so forth.
Is SEMRush, would you say that it's kind of the, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is it kind of the first tool in your toolkit, or if say a company was looking for kind of a core tool for kind of figuring out how they stand, where they stand, and relative to their competitors, and how to improve, would this be a good choice?
Yeah, so there's a lot of insight here that I think this is one of the top sites that I typically am in here looking at at least probably a dozen times a day, if not if not more. I mean, it's pretty much the standard for me as far as really understanding the keywords and rankings, and even the ability to track a website's rankings. There's a lot of actually, you can set up projects, and you can actually see how things are progressing, and also see automated reports and so forth, and not only just on your website, but just basically, as you see, I mean, just about any website or out on the web. The only reason why they wouldn't have data about a website is, generally speaking, if if the site's a new website, or they actually there's just not enough traffic, meaning that if there's less than, say, less than 50 visits a month to that website, there probably won't be any data. But most likely, even the smallest websites with only a couple visitors per month, you'll see some data as well. The biggest area right now that we're, as far as SEO goes, we're trying to understand the actual, let's say, the SERP features. These are actually additional features, not just the straight organic results, but these are just different features that show up in the search results for certain keywords. So this particular site has, for example, there's a lot of, what we call featured snippet. So basically what happens is when you search for a keyword, there's an extra, which pop-up that has an answer or, a snippet of results. They're typically, may or may not have a photo associated with it. And that appears, and it's kind of a call out above the search results that is really can bring a lot of traffic to your site, and so you don't necessarily have to rank number one for a keyword to get that featured snippet. However,
so what is
happens,
that saying there? Oh, I'm sorry. What is that saying there when it says the 0.1% featured snippet?
Yeah, so actually
related to
that
actually,
if you look at all of the keywords, all of these pages that this website is ranking for, there's only 0.01% of the time they actually have one of those featured snippets. So this is a really good.
So that's a real opportunity. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you might come in and look at this, whether you're an in-house marketer or an outside consultant like you, or agency like Idea Grove, who of course works with you, and we could come into a tool like this, see that, and identify an opportunity to do some things to optimize your content to have a better chance at getting more of your content as featured snippets. That would be kind of an example of the kind of action you might advise based on looking at data like this.
Yes, exactly. So, we not only, so this helps us understand really the search results for the keyword for this particular company. And that, the featured snippet are really kind of essentially answers to questions that people have. And so, for example, it could be, if we think travel, we think about, traveling to a certain state or location. It could be about, going to Yosemite National Park for a vacation, in the summer. And so essentially you get a featured snippet by creating a page about, for example, Yosemite and visiting, and, the top 10 things to do at Yosemite National Park. And so that would be, content, that for that location, and then that company would, then Travelocity would then benefit from getting that featured snippet, and they would get more visibility, they would get more, visitors and so forth to their site, increasing their brand and so forth in the search results.
Can you talk about Google's instant answers? I noticed that mentioned there, and how that's different from a featured snippet.
So basically these are pages that that would show, that actually show an instant answer in the search results, but they don't necessarily, but Travelocity in this case does not have one. And so a lot
in
of
other words, those are searches are like when you're searching, hey, I'm taking a flight from Dallas to Atlanta, and here's the flight number, or the airline, and you get that actual flight information that shows up showing the plane going across and whether the flight has been delayed. That's an example of an instant answer, correct?
Yes.
And Travelocity would probably love to be ranking for those, but it doesn't look like it currently is, right?
Yes, they're not, because the fact that they probably don't have that, that live information.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For example, one that they would, have one where they do have one is actually, for a quick query like 2 airports in Chicago, where actually, they obviously have made a page about the 2 airports in Chicago, and they've written about those. And so that allows them to show up for that particular search results as far as a knowledge panel. Sure. Typically a good, obviously, with when it comes down to, keyword research and understanding, rankings and keywords, SEMRush and SpyFu are the main, are the main ones. There are, for example, Moz does have, additional keyword data. I think that there's, SEMRush does have a good, good set of tools that that is SEMrush really started off with being just like the information that we're looking at, which is keyword data. But we also have a lot more tools that they've expanded from kind of an SEO audit type of tool that will crawl your website and show errors and so forth, to even some keyword tracking tools, link type of tools. So as far as SEMrush can actually be kind of a one-stop shop for not only for understanding linking and understanding the links to your website and rankings and keywords and keyword research. As far as other tools, certainly we get into Majestic, which is if you really want to get into having the right data as far as links to your website, certainly Majestic, which actually Majestic feeds links into SEMrush. Sure. Moz does have the domain authority and page authority, and essentially they're numbers between 0 and 100, which is very similar to trust flow, which is and citation flow, which is 0 to 100 as well, that particular scale. And so the idea is that same thing with Moz and domain authority and page authority, same thing with trust flow, is essentially you want those numbers to be as high, higher as possible. Essentially, the way Majestic's trust flow works is that it is 0 to 100, and what they essentially do is they kind of on a high level is they pick a few seed sites. For example, they'll pick Google.com and maybe Yahoo.com and CNN.com and those types of sites, and those will be at the high level of trust flow, which will be 90 to 100 and on those. And then what will happen is basically the concept is that when CNN.com links to somebody, and then they link to another website, and another website links to you, they pass on this value and from other websites, and so you essentially gain trust flow from other from other websites that are essentially trusted more than your website. And so it's all about quality and getting the quality links, so that you can get your domain authority or page authority or even trust flow higher up. One of the things
I was just going to say, one of the things that I really like about the trust flow measure, and I think this is a fairly recent development. I know you work closely with Majestic, so you could tell me if I'm wrong, but it's fairly recently they've introduced these kind of topics or subtopics within your trust flow to show your authority or trust level within certain vertical areas, certain topic areas. In other words, you might have really good trust flow, but is it in the areas that are most important to you? And can you talk a little bit about, is that a fairly recent addition to the product, or has it been there a long time and I just noticed it last year?
Been there a little while. I mean, I think that we're paying attention a little bit more to it because there's in certain niches, in certain topics, it's more appropriate to get links in certain in your niche. Certainly, if you are a healthcare website and you're in the healthcare space, you want to be known more in the healthcare space than say, rather than being in travel because you're in healthcare. And so I do believe that Google and Bing are looking at the topic of websites that are linking to you. And so I was reviewing a website over the weekend, and noticed that this particular company who they had a hypnosis website, and they do hypnosis for losing weight and stop smoking and so forth. Well, some of the links that they had that were from restaurants and from just completely off-topic websites that were not related. And so I do believe that as Google and Bing understand a little bit, they understand the content and so forth of our websites. If I also understand the topics of other websites that are linking to you. And so, like I said, if you're in the healthcare space, it would make more sense to have a trust flow in your niche as high as possible, rather than having necessarily just computer related websites linking to you. And so that's so as you're evaluating as you're evaluating a potential link or in an opportunity, you're pitching to one particular website, you can look at their numbers and their trustful, or their domain authority might be really high, but it also is worth it to look at the types and the topics of websites that are linking to that website. Look at OnCrawl. So OnCrawl is a crawler essentially that allows you to pull in. I'm going to look at my own particular website here. So OnCrawl allows you to actually pull in Google Analytics data, Google Search Console data, all about your particular website, and the website website log files, which are actually combined, when crawlers actually have visited your websites, and so forth. And it also actually allows you to they also will crawl your website as well. So there's a lot of kind of technical insight into your particular, into your particular website, and so you can see a lot of the technical issues, and about your site, and for example, how many redirects you have on your site, how many pages are actually, indexable, and so forth. You could actually see, how the links are, how different pages and different sections of your site are linked, and then you can actually see, things like your search engine rankings and so forth. And so there's So for example, there, you might find the fact that, you have a website and you might have pages on the website that are orphaned, that are still on the website and people are visiting them, but they're not necessarily part of your, you can't click from the home page to another page to another page. There's a lot of, unique things you can understand about your own, website. I think people still don't understand the power of the actual content on your website. And I think that there's such a great opportunity right now to, not really worry too much about links as far as that goes. But I think that, I think people will be surprised that, that it's back to, you can actually optimize your content now and get a lot more visibility than you have in the past. And I think that where people are still starting to realize that. I think in a year from now, a lot more people will be talking about the actual optimization process on site and on page optimization. Then that's kind of the up and coming thing right now.
Bill,
Yep.
thank you, and let's talk again soon.